Hello children, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be discussing a very important topic of application of friction, and that is pulling versus pushing. What we mean is that, let's say we have a block of certain mass, say m, resting on a rough horizontal surface. Now what we mean by rough surface is that it offers friction. If a surface offers friction, we call it a rough surface, and if a surface doesn't offer any friction, then we call it a smooth surface. The symbol for rough surface is that the line, the surface line, and then this dashed lines under it. It represents a rough surface or a surface that is offering friction. Okay. Now let's say there is a block of mass m standing on it, and we want to push it or move it towards right. So we can do it in two ways. Number one is that we can apply a push to it from behind or from a little upward side, and else we can pull it, right? Apply a force and pull it towards a direction. Now let's consider these two cases and what happens if we push the object and pull the object. Let's say this side is pulling, so what we will be doing is that we say that we will apply a force in this direction, making certain angle theta with the horizontal. And let's say the magnitude of the force be F. Let's call this force F. Okay. Now, what are the different forces acting on the block? First of all, the applied force is there, but prior to that also, we know that there will be the weight of the block that is acting vertically downwards, that is mg. There will be the reaction perpendicular to the or vertically upwards, the reaction force R. And since the object is moving towards the right, there will be a force of friction in the interface, this, in the backward direction, right? That is the force of kinetic friction. Now, since the applied force is at certain angle with the horizontal, so it will be convenient for us to resolve this force into two components, the horizontal component and the vertical component. So this will be F cos theta and this will be F sin theta. Now we are in a position to write the equation of motion. So what we see is that, let's call this mg equals to weight of the object. So if we see the vertical direction, what are the different forces acting? There is one force W, the weight of the object, which is acting vertically downwards. Then there are two forces acting vertically upwards, which are the normal reaction and the vertical component of F, applied force F, F sin theta. So these two must balance each other because the object is not sinking into the ground. Okay, this will give us that normal reaction will be W, the weight of the object, minus F sin theta. Okay, remember when there is no force, the normal reaction was equal to what? The normal reaction was equal to weight. So when we pull the object with a force making certain angle with the horizontal, upwards of the horizontal, then the normal reaction reduces. Now if R is this, then the frictional force will be equal to mu k into R. That will be equal to mu k into the weight of the object minus F sin theta. Force of friction that will be appearing in the interface. Okay. Now if we consider the other case, wherein instead of the force of pulling the object, we push the object with the same force, making the same angle with the horizontal. That is to say, now we are applying a force, say, in this direction, downwards, and this is the horizontal, this angle is theta, and the applied force still is F. However, it is now downwards direction. So the force will be like this, in this direction. The existing forces on the object, it's the same object, so the downwards weight will still be there, and there will be this normal reaction R. Here again it will be convenient for us to resolve the force which is at angle theta. So this is the direction of the force, so or magnitude of the force, so we will resolve it along this. This will be theta, so we have F cos theta in this direction, and there will be another component F sin theta perpendicular to the plane. The direction of force of friction will still be, since the object is being pushed and moved towards right, the force of friction will be in this direction, that is Fk. So now if we consider the forces in the vertical direction, what we get is that the normal reaction R, that is in the upward direction, is balanced by balances two forces. One is weight of the object, and also the F sin theta, the vertical component of the applied force. So that will be plus F sin theta. Therefore, the frictional force that appears will be mu k into W plus F sin theta. Now if we consider these two, let's call this not Fk, Fk dash, because this will be a different force now. Frictional forces amount has changed. See, if you consider this and this, what do you say? The first terms are same, mu k into W, mu k into W. However, second term in here is a minus mu k F sin theta. Here it is plus mu k F sin theta, which means that F dash k has to be greater than Fk. In other words, the friction that appears when you pull the object with a force at some angle with the horizontal is less compared with the friction that appears or that is generated when you push the object, and that is why pulling is easier than pushing. You can try this at home by trying to push a chair and try to pull the same chair. You will see you will need much lesser force while you are trying to pull the chair. Let me know if it is so after doing the experiment at home. Okay, now let's consider the case of a particle moving in a circle with uniform velocity, the uniform circular motion, as we have discussed in the previous chapter of motion in a plane. If you haven't seen my videos on that, you may please refer to the playlist, my playlist on motion in a plane. Now, what we have found is that when an object is moving in a uniform circular motion, there is always an acceleration towards the center, and that was given by v square by r, or which was equal to r omega square, since v was equal to r into omega. Now there is always an acceleration AC. So what causes this acceleration? Definitely from Newton's second law we know that an acceleration is always caused by a force. So there should be a force acting on it, and the force's direction and the acceleration's directions have to be the same always, which means there should always be a force in the same direction as the acceleration vector's direction. This force that is necessary to keep the object moving in a circular path, which is always directed along the acceleration, centripetal acceleration, or in other words always along the radius vector, is known as the centripetal force. And by Newton's second law we can easily say that this force Fc can be given by mass of the object m into AC, which means that F centripetal is equal to m v square by r, or we can also say that it is equal to m r omega square. Okay, Now, if you look from the perspective of the mass, what happens is that the mass, since it's moving in a circular motion, we know there is always an acceleration. Now, if you remember my video on Newton's third law of motion, and after that when we talked about the accelerated motion in a box, whether the box moves upwards with an acceleration or whether a box moves downwards with an acceleration, what we see that there appears to be a change in the weight, or in other words, there is supposed to be appears to be an additional force or a reduction of force, an additional force in the direction of the weight or in the opposite direction of the weight. Here also, when the object is moving in a circular motion, because it's in the accelerated motion, it experiences a force radially outward direction. Now, this is not actually a force, applied force. This is what the object experiences because it is accelerated. You can always see it when you are moving in a vehicle. Say the vehicle takes a sharp turn, right or left, you always are pushed outwards. We said it's because of the inertia, or we always feel that you are being pushed outwards, right? Though there is no force pushing you outwards, it's because of the inertia. You remember that. So they experience a force in the outward direction. Now, for the object moving in the circular motion, it so appears that he or she or the object experiences a force in the radially outward direction, and so to balance that there should be a force in the inward direction that is given by the centripetal force, which means that this force that is moving that appears to be acting on the object which is moving in a circular motion, or which the object experiences, is always radially outwards, and it has the same magnitude as the centripetal force. However, its direction is opposite. Centripetal force is in this direction, centrifugal forces, or this force is in the opposite direction. This is a pseudo force, and this force is known as the centrifugal force. So, centrifugal force is not a real force. It's a force that is experienced by the object traversing a circular motion. Okay? And it has the same magnitude as the centripetal force that is keeping the object moving in the circle. Alright, now let's consider that there is a mass m tied through a massless inextensible string of length 30 centimeter. And it is traversing a horizontal circle, that is tied from the vertical with a fixed point, and then it's moving like this in a horizontal circle. It's moving. The radius of the horizontal circle is given to be 15 centimeter, 15 centimeters. Okay. Now, mass of the object is given to be equal to 0.1 kg. What we are to do is that we are supposed to find the tension in the string, and also we have to find the angular velocity with which the object is moving in the circular motion. Okay, let's say this is the direction of the circle, the counterclockwise direction. Now, to solve this problem, what we see is that first we need to find the different forces that are acting on the object, and it is pretty clear that there will be a weight acting vertically downwards, which will be equal to m into g, right? And then there is another force acting along the string, that is the tension in the string, which we are supposed to find. So these two forces are not in the same direction. So what we need to do is that we will resolve tension into two components. One in the vertical direction, let's say this, and one in the horizontal direction, let's say this. So this component will be T. If this angle is theta, this will be theta, so this will be T cos theta, and this component will be T sin theta. Okay, now if we consider the equation of motion now, in the vertical direction, T cos theta, the vertical component of tension, must be equal to mg, because it's in a horizontal circle, there is no acceleration in the vertical direction. Second is that in the horizontal direction there is a force P sin theta, right? However, this T sin theta is the centripetal force, as we have discussed, necessary to keep the object moving in the circular motion, which must be equal to m r omega square. Okay, now can we find T and omega from these equations? Yes, m is given, g is given, r is given. However, theta is not given. So first thing we need to find theta. Now, if you consider the circle, the triangle that is formed by this point, the center of the circle, and the mass m, say position of the mass m, let's call it A. So in right angle triangle delta OCA sin theta, that will be perpendicular by hypotenuse, will be equal to 15 by 30, that is half. Therefore, theta will be equal to sin 30 degree. Is half, so theta will be 30 degree. So, if we take the equation number 1 will give us T cos 30 degree, substituting the value of theta, must be equal to m, that is 0.1 into g, 9.8. Right? And so, what we can do, we can always find the value of T by 0.98 divided by cos 30 degree, which is root 3 by 2, and we can solve this equation to find the value of tension. Okay, next is, if you take this equation number 2, and substitute the value of sin theta in this, or we do not need to substitute the value of sin theta because we need to substitute Q also. What we instead can do is that equation 2 divided by equation 1. So left hand side, T sin theta divided by T cos theta will be tan theta. Right hand side will be equal to m r omega square divided by mg. M's will cancel. So therefore, omega square will be equal to g tan theta whole thing divided by r. Therefore, omega will be equal to square root of g tan theta by r. Substitute the value g equal to 9.8 meter per second square, tan theta or tan 30 degree, whatever it is, and r is 15 centimeter as given. Substitute the value, do the calculation, and you will find the solution. So, after you have solved this, please do let me know the values of this tension and omega here. Okay, let's consider a problem of connected bodies having friction. If a block of certain mass is resting on a rough plane which is inclined at an angle theta, and it is connected through a massless inextensible string over a frictionless and massless pulley to another mass, what will be the net acceleration of the system and what will be the tension in the string? Let's say we are given that this mass is resting on the plane is 2 kg. This mass is 5 kg. That is given. the angle of inclination of the rough horizontal is, or rough plane is 30 degree, and coefficient of friction, kinetic friction, is given to be 0.3. So we are to find the acceleration that is produced, and we are also to find the tension that is generated in the string. Okay, to do that, let's see the other forces that are in action here. Now, for the 5 kg mass, there will be a weight of the 5 kg mass downwards, which will be 5 times g, mass into g, acceleration due to gravity. For the 2 kg mass, again there will be its weight acting downwards, which will be 2 into g. Okay, and then there will be this frictional force acting here. The object is moving outwards, so there will be a frictional force in this direction, which will be F, say. And then there is a tension acting on this on the 2 kg mass along the horizon, along the plane upwards, and a tension on the other mass in the vertical direction. Now, if we consider the second part of this body, then what we get is that the weight of the body 5g minus the tension will give us the mass of the body, that is 5, into the acceleration produced. Newton's second law of motion, this is the net force. 5g minus 3 is equal to ma, mass into acceleration. To apply the same into the second case, the object in the incline, what we need to observe is that this weight has two components. This is 2g cos theta, the component perpendicular to the plane, which will be balanced by the normal direction, and then there will be a component along the plane which will be given by 2g sin theta, where 2 is m here, so mg sin theta. So along the plane, if we consider what is the net force downwards, it's 2g sin theta plus f. What is the net force upwards? That is t. So we must have, since this object moves downwards, means this has to move upwards up the plane. So this is t minus 2g sin theta, that will be sin 30 degree, since theta is 30 degree given, minus f. This is equal to 0. Fine. Okay, if we add these two equations, both the equations, what we get? 5g minus 3 plus 3 will cancel, minus 2g sin 30 degree minus f will be mu mg m will be 2g cos theta, f equal to mu r. R is given by 2g cos theta. R equals to 2g cos theta in this diagram. This plus this will be equal to 5a. So we can solve this to get a. Theta is 30 degree. Substitute the values and solve. That is to say, we can take g common here. G into 5 minus 2 into half minus mu is 0.3 into 2 into root 3 by 2 must be equal to 5a. Therefore, a will be equal to, solve this, substitute the value of g as 9.8 meter per second square, and you should get approximately 4.87 meter per second square. 4.87 meter per second square. if A is found, then using this equation, say A, equation A will give us that 5 G minus T equal to 5A. Therefore, T equal to 5 into G minus A. Substitute the values and you will find T to be equal to 24.65 Newton almost. Verify this at home. See whether you get these two results or not. And do let me know whether you have found the results correctly or not. Okay.